We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next hour. South Korea's President Yoon reverses martial law after MPs vote to block it. Opposition demands Yoon steps down, else might face impeachment. UK says terrorists are likely to carry out attacks in Bangladesh, updates travel advisory for its citizens. India's External Affairs Minister highlights progress in India-China engagement in Parliament's lower house, says de-escalation is next priority, will brief the upper house today. ISRO to launch Proba 3 mission satellites for Sun Corona study from India's Sriharikota. Mission underscores international collaboration in space exploration. And in the Men's Junior Asia Cup Hockey, India set up final showdown against Pakistan after defeating Malaysia 3-1. And the top story this hour, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has announced the removal of emergency martial law early on Wednesday after lawmakers defied security forces to vote against his declaration. Yoon imposed martial law late on Tuesday, vowing to eliminate anti-state forces. He said that he was acting to protect the country from threats posed by North Korea. However, after the National Assembly demanded its repeal, he withdrew the troops.
After the National Assembly's demand to lift martial law troops have been withdrawn. I will accept the National Assembly's demand and lift martial law through a cabinet meeting. However, I ask the National Assembly to immediately stop the reckless activities of paralyzing the function of the country through repeated impeachment attempts, manipulation of legislation and budget.
Earlier, South Korean Parliament voted to lift the declaration, with the National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-shik declaring that lawmakers will protect democracy with the people. All 190 lawmakers who participated in the vote supported the lifting of martial law. Yoon's move was the first declaration of martial law since the country's democratization in 1987. The country's last previous martial law was in October 1979. Meanwhile, protests have started in South Korea as the country wakes up hours after South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol lifted the martial law order. Country's main opposition party has called on President Yoon to resign or face impeachment following his decision to briefly declare martial law in the democratic nation. The leader of South Korea's ruling People Power Party, Han Dong-hoong, called on Wednesday for Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun to be fired and the entire cabinet to resign. In other updates, Yonhap News Agency reports that the senior aides working for South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol have offered to resign en masse on Wednesday after Yoon declared them revoked martial law overnight. And one of South Korea's largest labor unions, the Korean Confederation of Trade Unions, has called on its members to strike until President Yoon Suk-yeol resigns. In a post on social media, the KCTU described Yoon's short-lived declaration of martial law as a crime of insurrection, while calling on its more than 1 million members to gather in Seoul and other regional locations to oppose the move. Meanwhile, South Korea's finance ministry said on Wednesday it is ready to deploy unlimited liquidity into financial markets if needed. The announcement came after Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok and Bank of Korea Governor Ri Chang-yong held emergency meetings overnight. The country's financial regulator is ready to deploy 10 trillion, one that's over $7 billion in a stock market stabilization fund anytime. South Korea's won losses early on Wednesday, coming off the two-year low of 1,443.40 hit overnight after Yoon lifted his shock martial law declaration. Well, United States has welcomed the South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol's decision to lift the martial law, expressed concern over the unfolding situation in the East Asian country. The U.S. emphasized its unwavering commitment to the Republic of Korea as a vital ally in the Indo-Pacific.
We will continue to follow developments on the ground very closely. We want this to be resolved peacefully in accordance with the rule of law, and certainly the legislature voting to pass something would be consistent with the law of that country, certainly.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Embassy in Seoul has put out an advisory asking Americans to avoid areas where protests are taking place. Also, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba on Wednesday said that Tokyo was monitoring the situation in South Korea with exceptional and serious concerns. Speaking to reporters at his office, the Japanese Prime Minister said the government was taking all possible measures to ensure the safety of Japanese nationals, including issuing warnings through consular emails. And for more, Shubhendu Ghosh joins us on this. Well, Shubhendu, after imposing martial law yesterday, South Korean President Yeol has announced the removal of emergency martial law today morning. Take us through the series of events and what led to this announcement in the first place.
That's right, Lipakshi. Last 12 hours have seen dramatic developments as far as the institutions of democratic institutions of South Korea are concerned. At about 10:30 local time last night, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law. That's equivalent to declaring an emergency in the country, which means suspension of all civil rights and the rule by military. Now, as the hours progressed, one realized that perhaps it was not as much of a security situation as much it was a political consideration that led Yoon Suk-yeol to declare the martial law. The hours since then, we also saw people hitting the streets while they were asked to stay at home. The lawmakers in particular, 190 of them out of 300, managed to reach the parliament, the assembly of the National Assembly of South Korea. A unanimous vote took place, all 190 voting against the martial law and voting towards lifting of it, which also compelled early this morning local time again, Yoon Suk-yeol to lift the martial law. We also see that Yoon Suk-yeol has been losing his political capital consistently in the past months and years. In April, in fact, this year, when his party lost the parliamentary election, 2/3 of the parliament is now governed by the opposition members, the result of which is also the kind of political logjam that we've been witnessing in South Korea. Most of his bills, including the budget, are meeting a hard wall as far as the opposition is concerned. They have impeached a number of his cabinet colleagues, and therefore it was difficult for him as a leader of the government to operate. But this was an extreme step to declare a martial law, especially the reasons that he gave, saying that North Korean agents appear to have penetrated the government. They're sympathizers in the opposition of the communist regime in the north. All of those ideas did not gel well with the people, as we saw how the masses in Seoul and elsewhere in South Korea hit the streets protesting against the president. In fact, those protests continue, even though President Yeol has lifted the martial law. Now the calls are getting louder for accountability, for having thrown the country into the risk of a martial law again. Remember, military rule may be surprising, but not new for North Korea. Till about 1987, when the democratic phase of South Korea started, South Korea has in fact experienced brutal military rules in the past. So those memories must also be fresh in the minds of people who all hit the street when the news of martial law came in. Lipakshi.
All right. Also, after all this political drama, Shubhendu, the big question is what next, as opposition calls for President Yoon Suk-yeol's resignation, and the senior aides working for Yeol have also all offered to resign.
That's right, Lipakshi. The experts say that Yoon Suk-yeol, in his desperation to be able to control the opposition and the government, may have made the biggest blunder of his political life, not just costing him perhaps in the days ahead his presidency, but also the power, the influence that his party, the People's Party, exercises in South Korea. The calls for him to step down are getting louder. The opposition has in fact given out a clear warning that if he doesn't step down in the next day or two, impeachment process would begin against him. We know that his chief of staff and other immediate colleagues have also tendered their resignation. So he's losing ground, losing support. He'd already lost support outside of the government, but within his own party, he's losing ground. Many of them weren't aware of the drastic step of martial law that President Yoon was about to take. So in that sense, he has lost the confidence. His approval ratings have been low historically, about 19%. Till recently. So in that sense, as far as people's support is concerned, opposition's confidence is concerned, his own party's support is concerned, Yoon appears to be losing it all.
All right. Thank you so much, Shubhendu, for all that update. And moving on, updates on Syria now. The West Asian country is facing a surge in conflict as rebels pressed closer to the key city of Hama following their stunning capture of Aleppo last week. Rebel advances, including seizing Mar Shahur, signal a major blow to President Bashar al-Assad's forces. The Syrian army scrambles reinforcements while battling a new offensive from the US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces in the northeast. Iran has meanwhile said it would consider deploying troops to Syria if requested by Damascus, while Russia called for an end to terrorist aggression. With the battlefield crowded by global powers, Iran, Russia and Turkey plan diplomatic talks in Doha, highlighting the chaotic intersection of military action and international politics. And Russia and the United States clashed at the United Nations on Tuesday, accusing each other of supporting terrorism during a Security Council meeting convened over a sudden escalation in Syria. Deputy U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Robert Wood, called for a de-escalation of the fighting in Syria and the protection of civilians. He also expressed concern that the rebel offensive was led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Wood said the United States has for decades fought the scourge of terrorism and will continue to fight that scourge of terrorism. And our big breaking news coming in from Amritsar, city of India's Punjab. A leader of the state's political party, Akali Dal, Sukhbir Singh Badal, narrowly survived an assassination attempt this morning. Well, an armed elderly man opened fire at him at the entrance of the Golden Temple, where Sukhbir Singh Badal was offering penance under religious punishments. The bystanders successfully overpowered the suspect, averting further danger. Also following which, police arrested the suspect and are questioning him. Sukhbir Singh Badal is former Punjab Deputy Chief Minister. Well, we have Akanksha joining us for more on this. Well, Akanksha, an attempt on the life of Shiromani Akali Dal leader Sukhbir Singh Badal was made by an elderly man at the entrance of the Golden Temple today morning. Can you tell us more of the entire incident?
Yeah, I would like to tell you, Sukhbir Singh Badal attack was done in Golden Temple firing today. It was there that he was serving the punishment which was given by the Akal Takht, Shri Akal Takht Sahib in Darbar Sahib, had given him the punishment and he was going through it and he was sitting outside. A man reportedly fired shots on him and he was overpowered by the local Sevadars which were present there. And it is said that Narayan Singh is the man who had fired on Sukhbir Singh Badal. And Sukhbir Singh Badal and Bikram Singh Majidhia, both Shiromani Akali Dal leaders, have been serving the religious punishment which was pronounced by Shri Akal Takht Sahib since yesterday. So we could see so many pictures of Sukhbir Singh Badal. He was sitting, he has been punished to be a Sevadar. So he was sitting outside the Darbar Sahib in Amritsar. And this attack has happened just in the morning. And many political leaders of Punjab have condemned this attack on him.
Well, also, Akansha, this marked, as you said, the second day of his penance. The person who had actually, attacked on him has been caught. Any details, any more details you've been able to get about him?
I would like to tell you that, yes, he seems to be an elderly man, a Sikh man. And other than that, the further details of the assailant and updates are under investigations, and we would wait for the police to confirm that how and what was the reason why he was attacking Sukhbir Singh Badal.
Also, Akansha, it is said that the man had a bullet in hand. Can you tell us about the security of the area?
I would like to tell you that because it is a religious place, a golden temple, the weapons are prohibited inside.
Yes.
But as such, there is no frisking and checking because certainly it is a Guru Ghar and it is a religious place. So very well this man would have carried it inside, and how, but it is totally against, nobody is allowed to carry it. And if you see that strictly the Sevadars overpowered this guy, but certainly he could carry the weapon inside, but there are no checkings, there are no checkpoints, anybody can walk inside, but usually people don't carry any weapons inside. This was one of its own case, what has happened, what we could see today. And there were so many people, there was media there, because since yesterday, Sukhbir Singh Badal, I have been telling you that he has been given the religious punishment and he was going through that. So there were so many people around. I don't know what instigated him, how he wanted to just go, and you would just see that video which is there, that he just walked towards him and he was firing, but he was overpowered, and there was so much of media which was asking questions from the assailant also. And we would know the details later, but then as for now, it is clear that Sukhbir Singh Badal is safe, and whatever has happened is been taken over by the police.
All right. Also, Akansha, as we saw, the man was overpowered by the people present there. What's the present situation at the temple?
Yeah, I'll tell you that the incident has, the Sevadars have handed over the person to the custody of the police now, and the further investigations are underway. And what will be the motive behind the attack will be also ascertained. The authorities are also reviewing the security arrangements in and around the Golden Temple to prevent such incidents in the future. Certainly, you would see that he is a big leader, and he would have been given some security, because if he was sitting there, he was accompanied by his people around and Sevadars also of Akal Takht. But then again, the security arrangements is in question, and it is very, very important that now the security arrangements have to be reviewed around the Golden Temple, because if any of such an incident happens in the religious place, the Golden Temple itself is quite very scary.
All right, Akansha, we'll keep taking updates from you as it progresses. Thank you so much for that update. And moving on, the United Kingdom has updated its travel advisory for Bangladesh, citing risks of terrorist attacks across the country. In a warning on Tuesday, the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office said terrorists are likely to try to carry out attacks in Bangladesh. The attacks could be indiscriminate, including in places visited by foreign nationals, such as crowded areas, religious buildings, political rallies. It added that there have been occasional attacks against minority religious communities and targeting police and security forces. These have included improvised explosive device attacks in major cities. The advisory asks the British citizens to remain aware of their surroundings, particularly in and around police buildings, avoid large gatherings and other locations with a police or security presence, and follow the advice of local authorities. And the UK advisory comes as India's neighbour remains in a state of turmoil as religious minorities, especially Hindus, are under growing threat. Arrests, attacks and accusations have created an atmosphere of fear, sparking outrage both in the country and in India. Here's the full story by DD India's Mihir Maikuri. Take a look.
In Bangladesh, the persecution of minorities, particularly Hindus, continues to escalate, showing no signs of abating. The situation took a dramatic turn when Hindu religious leader Chinmoy Krishna Das Prabhu was arrested last week, facing sedition charges. This arrest has sparked widespread outrage across neighbouring India, where protests have erupted in various regions. One such protest took place in India's national capital, New Delhi, on Tuesday. The Hindu Suraksha Seva Trust organised a sit-in outside the United Nations office to voice their opposition to the ongoing persecution of Hindus in Bangladesh.
आज सिर्फ एक ही प्रदर्शन है, वहाँ की हिंदुओं की रक्षा हो। जिस प्रकार से वहाँ की हिंदुओं की निर्मम हत्या किया जा रहा है, इसके नाते आज हिंदू सुरक्षा सेवा ट्रस्ट के तत्वाधान में सभी साधु संत एकत्रित हुए हैं।
Hindu organizations also held demonstrations in cities like Aligarh, Banda, Prayagraj, Jaipur and Raipur, expressing their solidarity with the persecuted Hindus in Bangladesh. The legal battle for Chinmoy Krishna Das Prabhu continues as the situation grows more intense. In Bangladesh, no lawyer has come forward to represent the religious leader in a Chattogram court due to threats from Islamist groups. As a result, the court has now deferred his bail hearing. In a separate development, advocate Regan Acharya was seriously injured while seeking the bail hearing of Chinmoy Krishna Das Prabhu. The vice president of ISKCON Kolkata, Radharaman Das, condemned the attack.
हम ये भी रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं बांग्लादेश गवर्नमेंट से कि जो भी चिन्मय कृष्ण प्रभु के एडवोकेट हैं या उनको डिफेंड करने के लिए आ रहे हैं, उनको सुरक्षा प्रदान की जाए.
Tuesday also saw a petition being filed in the High Court in Bangladesh seeking the suspension of all Indian television channels within the country. All eyes remain on the unfolding situation and its potential to impact bilateral relations between India and Bangladesh. Mihir Makhri reporting for DD India.
And moving on, NATO foreign ministers opened 2 days of talks on Tuesday in Brussels with support for Ukraine high on the agenda. NATO is unlikely to heed Ukraine's call for a membership invitation at a meeting, dashing Kyiv's hopes of a political boost as it awaits Donald Trump's return to the White House. In a letter to his NATO counterparts, Ukraine said an invitation to Ukraine would eliminate one of Russia's key reasons for conflict of blocking Ukraine's NATO membership. Although NATO has stated that Ukraine will join its ranks and its path to membership is irreversible. Allies have already pledged hundreds of millions of dollars in new military aid ahead of the meetings, including new rounds of assistance from the United States and Germany. And German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock said Ukraine needs robust security guarantees and a just peace, adding we need security guarantees that really work.
Deswegen ist es so wichtig, und das haben wir
We are contributing a further 63.5 million euros to NATO's Ukraine funds and giving a further 30 million euros bilaterally for humanitarian aid. And that is why it is so important, and we have made this clear time and again when we talk about peace, that it must be a just peace. And that is why it is so essential that we bring the different elements together. But let me emphasize once again, Ukraine alone decides, because it is their country, their sovereign country, on bringing these elements together.
Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for urgent reinforcements along the eastern front as Russian forces advance, capturing villages in Donetsk and Zaporizhia. In his nightly address, Zelensky stressed that Ukraine's ability to halt Russian gains hinges on timely Western weapon deliveries, particularly to bolster long-range firepower. Following talks with top commander Alexander Syrsky, Zelensky emphasized the need to destroy Russia's offensive potential and protect Ukrainian troops. The U.S. recently announced a $725 million aid package, but concerns linger over future support under incoming President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Russia claimed victories in Romanivka and Novodarivka, though Ukraine's military highlighted fierce resistance near Kurakov and good results defending Zaporizhia, underscoring a battlefield in flux. And U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's pick to lead the Drug Enforcement Administration, Chad Chronister, is withdrawing just 2 days after his selection was announced, citing the gravity of the job. Trump had announced his intention to nominate Chad Chronister to lead the DEA on Sunday. Trump has promised to tackle the fentanyl crisis that has resulted in a big wave of overdose deaths, and the DEA will be critical in that effort. The position deals with managing the US-Mexico border and drug trafficking control. As per reports, Mexican cartels such as CJNG and the Sinaloa cartel are responsible for a significant proportion of fentanyl and other deadly drugs trafficked into the United States. The agency is part of the Justice Department and enforces the United States controlled substance laws and regulations aiming to reduce supply of and demand for such substances. Well, the French lawmakers will vote today on no confidence motion, which is all but certain to oust the coalition of Michel Barnier. This will be the first French government to be forced out by a no confidence vote in the more than 60 years. French Prime Minister Michel Barnier on Tuesday rejected the idea that President Emmanuel Macron should resign to unblock the country's political crisis, calling him the guarantor of stability. In an interview ahead of Wednesday's no-confidence vote, Barnier said he remained open to budget talks with the far-right National Rally and other parties, but warned there was a lot of tension in the country and that everyone should be wary of the heightened mood. President Emmanuel Macron is set to return to France from a state visit to Saudi Arabia during the day. And thousands of Georgians protest for the 6th consecutive night in front of the parliament in capital Tbilisi against the government decision to not hold EU membership talks until the year 2028. The country of 3.7 million people has been gripped by crisis since last Thursday. Protesters shoot fireworks at shielded police cordons at the parliament building, who retaliated by spraying them with water out of a hose. As a response, Georgian police used water cannon, tear gas to disperse demonstrators, and a pro-EU protest police also used water cannon against protesters who continued to throw fireworks. And Nadaita Wa has been declared Namibia's first female president, cementing her place in history and continuing her party SWAPO's 34-year rule. The 72-year-old vice president secured a decisive victory with 57% of the vote, surpassing the 50% threshold needed to win. Her main rival, Fandulini Itola of the IPC, garnered 26%. Nadaita Wa, a veteran of Namibia's independence struggle, vowed to uphold peace and stability. However, the election faced controversy as the IPC alleged irregularities, citing technical glitches and ballot shortages. They plan to challenge the result in court. Meanwhile, SWAPO maintained its grip on the National Assembly with a majority of 51 seats. Well, moving on, the race to bring humanoid robots into our homes is heating up, with companies like 1X unveiling cutting-edge innovations. At their headquarters in Moss, Norway, 1X demonstrated NEO, a humanoid robot designed to revolutionize daily life. CEO Bernd Bornick envisions NEO tackling household chores, acting as a companion and even providing entertainment. Powered by advanced AI, NEO can walk, manipulate objects and interact seamlessly with people through speech and body language. NEO's unique feature is its ability to be piloted remotely, allowing users to control it from anywhere in the world. This could enable new forms of human interaction. The market-ready version, expected by the year 2025, will combine AI and remote control, competing in a rapidly growing field. And still to come in DD India News Hour. The Foreign Affairs Minister of Kuwait arrives in India on an official visit to strengthen multifaceted ties. Navy Day today, honouring India's brave hearts and the relentless efforts of our naval forces. Stay with us to know what's more in store.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. South Korea's President Yoon reverses martial law after MPs vote to block it. Opposition demands Yoon to step down, else might face impeachment. UK says terrorists are likely to carry out attacks in Bangladesh, updates travel advisory for its citizens. India's External Affairs Minister highlights progress in India-China engagement in Parliament's lower house, says de-escalation is next priority, will brief the upper house today. ISRO to launch Proba 3 mission satellites for Sun Corona study from India's Sriharikota. Mission underscores international collaboration in space exploration. And in the Men's Junior Asia Cup Hockey, India set up final showdown against Pakistan after defeating Malaysia 3-1. And all set to add another feather to its cap, the Indian Space Research Organisation will launch the PSLV C-59 Proba 3 mission on Wednesday at 16:08 IST from the Satish Dhawan Space Centre in southern state of Andhra Pradesh's Sriharikota. Showcasing India's role in global space innovation, the mission highlights advanced space technologies made possible by the collaboration between New Space India Limited, ISRO, and European Space Agency. Well, mission's primary objective is to explore the sun's corona, the outermost layer of its atmosphere, to enhance understanding of solar dynamics and also space weather. The mission will function as an orbital lab, demonstrating acquisition, rendezvous proximity operation and formation flying, while validating innovative meteorology sensors and control algorithms, opening up novel methods of mission controls. And for more on this, we have Anbarasan joining us. Well, Anbarasan, today's launch, of course, showcases the proven expertise of ISRO. It is a proud milestone in India's space journey and a shining example of global partnerships. Tell us more about it.
Good morning, Lipakshi. The Indian Space Research Organization is all set to launch its PSLV C-59 Proba 3 mission. As you said that this is an international cooperation of international space agencies, particularly the European Space Agency, that comprised around 22 European countries. And this particular launch scheduled at 4:08, precisely 4:08 Indian Standard Time, will carry the two satellites, particularly researching on the sun's corona. The first, the coronagraph spacecraft and Oculate spacecraft. These two spacecraft will be launching at 4:08 precisely, more focusing on the, if this satellite is launched, it may easy to make a on-demand solar eclipses. So also researching on that, and precisely the sun's corona. This is one of the mission that extending nearly around 2 decades. The first mission, Proba 1, is launched from the Indian Space Research Organization in Sriharikota, nearly at around 2001, and this is a third mission. The second mission, the Proba 2, is launched from the 2009 year, and this is a third mission. And so the Indian Space Research Organization and also various capabilities, particularly the commercial one. Indian Space, the ISRO is growing into a commercializing one. So due to that, we are getting more international agency cooperation. This agency, particularly the European Space Agency, is continuously operated from the Belgium, where they are launching the two spacecraft. And this one, particularly the chronograph spacecraft, is more focusing on sun's corona, and also it will make a nearly 150-meter distance. Actually, this is also the world's first simultaneous two satellite launch of Indian Space Research Organization. That is a update.
And of course, a very, very important launch. Also, this launch vehicle is India's first vehicle to be equipped with liquid stages. What does that imply?
As you know that India is proud of the PSLV C-59. Actually, this rocket is PSLV Excel. It's launched various victorious paths and shown that India's might on the Indian Space Agency and also the space power of India. So this C-59 launch also going to, we can see the success in just a few hours of today evening. The Indian Space Research Organization all set to ready to launch this. This cooperation also, we know that ISRO is having a collaboration between NASA and also the Australian Space Agency and also the European. So these kind of collaboration between the international agencies make sure that getting a more for the humankind to grow more, and particularly this solar based, particularly the research on the corona of sun's level is kind of an important one, because this kind of very niche, reaching near to the sun's corona, it's one of the human, kind of achievement for that, and it's launching from India and particularly from by the Indian Space Research Organization, kind of a milestone for the Indian Space Research Organization also.
Indeed, a big day for ISRO. Thank you so much, Anbarasan, for all those details. And moving on, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Tuesday informed the Parliament's lower house that full disengagement with China has been achieved in eastern Ladakh. Jaishankar emphasized the need for continued de-escalation, identifying it as India's next priority. The minister will brief the upper house today.
The House is aware that our ties have been abnormal since 2020, when peace and tranquility in the border areas were disturbed as a result of Chinese actions. Recent developments that reflect our continuous diplomatic engagement since then have set our ties in the direction of some improvement.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar briefing India's lower house of Parliament about the latest developments in India-China ties after October's successful disengagement and patrolling agreement along the line of actual control, or LAC, in eastern Ladakh. He noted how relations are now on the path towards being mended after they were derailed in the aftermath of the clashes between troops in Doklam in 2020, following the amassing of a large number of troops by China.
The situation arising after our counter-deployment in 2020 called for multiple sets of responses. The immediate priority was to ensure disengagement from friction points so that there would be no further untoward incidents or clashes. This, has been fully achieved, as I will explain. The next priority will be to consider de-escalation that would address the massing of troops along the LAC with associated accompaniments.
The minister also pointed out how, during the intervening period, the Indian Armed Forces carried out effective counter-deployment to the enhanced Chinese presence, and border infrastructure was also bolstered.
The House would also recognize that there has been a significant improvement in the border infrastructure, which has made such effective counter-deployment possible. This is reflected, amongst others, in the increase of border infrastructure allocations in the last decade. The Border Roads Organization, BRO, alone has incurred 3 times the expenditure level of what it was a decade ago.
The External Affairs Minister also spelled out what India expects will happen next in its engagement with China to gradually normalize relations.
The conclusion of the disengagement phase now allows us to consider other aspects of our bilateral engagement in a calibrated manner, keeping our national security interests first and foremost. In my recent meeting with Foreign Minister Wang Yi, we reached an understanding that the special representatives and the Foreign Secretary level mechanisms will be convening soon.
Clearly, India's approach of no business as usual till border tensions are addressed has led China to rethink its stance. India will keep its security interests at the forefront in all dealings with China. Gautam Roy's report for DD India.
Well, the Foreign Affairs Minister of Kuwait, Abdullah Ali Al Yahya, arrives in India on an official visit on Tuesday. Following his arrival, the Ministry of External Affairs expressed a warm welcome to the Kuwait minister and stated this visit would further strengthen the multifaceted relationship between India and Kuwait. His visit will include high-profile meetings, starting with a call on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and then will meet External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. India and Kuwait share a historically strong bilateral relationship that has stood the test of time. Rooted in centuries of trade and cultural exchange, the partnership predates Kuwait's independence in 1961, during which the Indian rupee served as its legal tender. And 4th December is celebrated every year as Navy Day. As India commemorates Navy Day 2024, the Indian Navy continues solidifying its position at the forefront of the nation's maritime ambitions. With a legacy steeped in operational excellence and strategic foresight, the Navy has transformed into a formidable force capable of safeguarding nation's interest. The Navy embodies India's ascent as a maritime power, from modernizing its fleet to integrating advanced technology and fostering global partnerships. The Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, President Draupadi Murmu, will witness the operational demonstration by the Navy on Wednesday in the eastern state of Odisha. And Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has extended his greeting and warm wishes to all Indian Navy personnel and their families on the Navy Day. Sharing a post on X, he wrote, and I quote, "The Indian Navy is an important pillar in the national security architecture, safeguarding India's maritime security. Our Navy plays a pivotal role in ensuring safe, secure and stable seas, reaffirming our stature as the preferred security partner and first responder in the Indian Ocean region," unquote. And Commodore Sovarath Megan, Indian Naval Officer in charge in the South Indian state of Tamil Nadu, flagged off a 13-day, 2,500-kilometer long motorcycle rally from Chennai, organized in the view of India's Navy Day. The Indian Navy Sea Riders Odyssey 2024 bike rally commenced on Wednesday as part of the Navy Day 2024 celebrations. Well, the 13-day rally will cover a distance of approximately 2,500 kilometers through various locations in South India's Tamil Nadu. The cities include Puducherry, Kumbakonam, Thanjavur, Trichy, Karaikudi, Dhanushkodi, Rameswaram, Valiur, Madurai, Kodaikanal, Sainik School in Amravati Pudur, Coimbatore, Wellington, Salem and Vellore. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Earthquake of 5.3 magnitude jolts Mulugu district of Telangana, causing tremors across the region. Authorities determined that the seismic activity originated 40 kilometers beneath the Earth's surface. Officials are closely monitoring the situation to assess any potential aftershocks and ensure the safety of the affected areas. Preparations are underway in India's Prayagraj for Mahakumbh 2025. Mahakumbh Mela Affair is scheduled to begin on 13th of January 2025 and it will end on the 26th February 2025. Organized in every 12 years, the Mahakumbh is the largest gathering of humanity on earth, bringing together millions of devotees, saints and tourists. Millions of devotees take a holy bath in the Ganga River. Indian Institute of Technology Kanpur developed the country's first inspection robot for power grid substations. The new technology will revolutionize the way substation equipment inspections are conducted. It will ensure safer operations and avoid repetitive routine maintenance manually. The robot is equipped with an array of sensors such as high-definition visual, infrared, thermal and stereo cameras that can automatically detect anomalies and potential faults in equipment. Delhiites on Wednesday are witnessing a big relief in air quality as the national capital's air quality index has come down significantly despite remaining in the poor category. On Wednesday morning, the Central Pollution Control Board recorded an AQI of 169, which is categorized as moderate. Neighboring areas in the national capital region are also witnessing a relief in their respective AQI levels. India's Doordarshan district in Jammu and Kashmir turned into a winter wonderland after receiving snowfall. This marked the beginning of tourism season in the region as the snow blanketed mountains and the roads. And still to come in DD India News Hour. We'll give you updates on global market with a special focus on the Asian stocks. We'll tell you all about the World Chess Championship 2024. And we'll also tell you about a German family who had set the world record for the largest number of decorated Christmas trees in one place. On to some business news now. The US, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ made record closing highs on Tuesday with tech-related shares extending recent gains as investors awaited further jobs data. The Dow finished slightly lower. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 76.47 points to 44,705.53. The S&P 500 gained 2.73 points to 6,049.88 and the NASDAQ Composite gained 76.96 points to 19,480.91. The S&P 500 advanced 5.7% in November as former U.S. President Donald Trump recaptured the White House in the November 5th election and his Republican Party swept both houses of Congress. The index is up roughly by 27% for the year to date. And hit by political unrest in South Korea, Asian equities tumbled on Wednesday. South Korea's won strengthened in early trading, buoyed by suspected intervention, but remained close to the two-year low against the dollar it hit late on Tuesday. The benchmark Kospi index was down nearly by 2%, taking its year-to-date losses to over 7%, making it the worst-performing major stock market in Asia this year. Leaving MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan down by 0.32% on Wednesday. And four major Chinese industry associations warned against purchasing U.S. chips, calling them no longer safe and urging local alternatives. This rare coordinated response follows escalating economic tensions between China and the U.S. days before President-elect Donald Trump returned to the White House. While the associations offered no specifics on the chips' alleged risks, Beijing intensified the standoff by banning exports of rare minerals crucial for military and high-tech industries. In response, the White House vowed to counter coercive actions and accelerate efforts to diversify supply chains away from China. Well, the Venezuelan government has announced plans for a $22.7 billion budget for the upcoming year, representing an increase from the previous year's spending of $20.5 billion. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez conveyed this figure to lawmakers, expressing optimism for a better 2025 as the country navigates ongoing financial difficulties. She gave no details on expected economic growth or forecast for inflation. Tax revenue will supply $5.25 billion to the budget, financing 28% of the country's spending. The remaining funds will be sourced from the mining sector, loans and debt issuances. This budgetary plan comes as Venezuela continues to face economic hurdles following years of hyperinflation and under the weight of US sanctions. Well, you're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. Indian Grandmaster Gukesh squandered a golden opportunity to take lead as he was held for a fourth consecutive draw by defending champion China's Ding Liren in the World Chess Championship 2024 on Tuesday. Wielding the white pieces, Gukesh put Ding under pressure early with an out-of-the-box opening play. Ding was soon forced into a time scramble, with the defending champion forced into a position where he had to make 20 moves in under 25 minutes to stay alive in the match. But the Chinese Grandmaster found a way to stay afloat and forced Gukesh into some difficult positions before the game tapered into a draw. The draw left both the players tied on 3.5 points each, with 7 more matches to go. Game 8 will take place on Wednesday. The first player to reach 7.5 points over 14 games will win the prestigious title in Singapore. And the Indian junior men's hockey team defeated Malaysia 3-1 in the semi-final of the Men's Junior Asia Cup to set up title clash against Pakistan. Unbeaten so far in the tournament, India scored through Dilraj Singh in the 10th minute, Rohit in 45th and final goal from Sharda Nand Tiwari in the 52nd minute to secure their place in the finals. Malaysia's lone goal from a penalty stroke converted by Azumuddin Kamaruddin in the 57th minute. Now India will take on arch rivals Pakistan in the blockbuster final on Wednesday. Pakistan defeated Japan 4-2 in the first semi-final. India had earned a hard-fought 2-1 victory against its long-time rivals to clinch the gold medal last time round. And well, Christmas celebrations have kicked off, bringing the spirit of the holiday, which can mean different things for different people. We get mesmerizing visuals from different parts of the country now. Well, starting first with the most expensive Christmas tree of Europe, which went on display in Munich on Tuesday. The 3-meter pyramid-shaped gold tree is made of 2024 Vienna Philharmonic coins worth more than 5.2 million euros. Coins are placed by hand on a special Christmas tree frame. The obverse of the coins features a pipe organ in the Vienna Musikverein's Golden Hall, while the reverse depicts a selection of classical music instruments. Washington, D.C. too got into the Christmas spirit on Tuesday with the lighting of a tree all the way from Alaska. The majestic tree traveled over 4,700 miles to reach Washington, D.C. The tree will be illuminated nightly from dusk until 11 p.m. through to January 1st. Keeping the festive fervor alive, a family in Germany has made their home an abode of lights and jubilant Christmas decor. The Jeromen family set the world record for the largest number of decorated Christmas trees in one place, with 605 trees and with 20,000 ornaments, 50,000 lights and thousands of Christmas figurines. The place is bursting with sparkle and color. The Jeromen family had already broken the same record 6 times in the past. Well, India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platform. Waves provide a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want a great content for free, then download Waves today. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.